Good evening and welcome to Gravitas. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Let's get started.
Gravitas, co-presented by
SBI Mutual Fund, a partner for life.
Chemistry that matters. SABIC. Skoda Superb, best in next class. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
Where did the Wuhan virus come from? You don't need an investigation to tell you the answer, but the world believes in systems, so a probe was initiated. The World Health Organization was made in charge. This was in the month of May. And now we're in October. The probe has not even begun. What is the WHO waiting for? China's nod. Believe it or not, China will decide who will investigate this country's role and when. And the WHO has said this on record. Will the United Nations pull up its health body? Don't hold your breath for it. The UN has just taken China on board for its vaccine program, as if we did not have enough with faulty masks and PPE kits. Now the world must suffer China's vaccines too. The unverified ones that are already being given to thousands. On Gravitas tonight, we bring you the very latest on China's constant efforts to control both the probe and the narrative. And we ask why the world is not doing enough to counter this. Also on the show, Armenia-Azerbaijan peace talks finally underway. Foreign ministers of both countries are meeting in Moscow. Can Russia prevail over Turkey's warmongering tactics? Pay for news, a French court has told Google. The world over, aggregators are being told to pay for news content. That should be the message for viewers too. If you want quality, credible news content, you must be ready to spend some money. A 75-year-old French aid worker freed after 4 years in Mali. We'll tell you why this is making international headlines. And think before you click. Online romance is turning out to be one of the biggest scams of our times. We begin as always with Gravitas Global Headlines.
The Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 to the World Food Programme.
The UN World Food Programme has received the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts in combating hunger worldwide. The World Food Programme is one of the world's largest humanitarian agencies working towards eradicating the global hunger crisis. 13 men have been arrested for plotting to kidnap the Democratic governor of the U.S. state of Michigan.
Bullying people on Twitter doesn't fix bridges.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer has rebuked President Donald Trump for failing to condemn the hate groups. Russia is expected to register its second COVID-19 vaccine developed by Siberia's Vector Institute on October 15th. The vaccine is said to have completed early-stage human trials last month. Activists and relatives protested outside the headquarters of the Hong Kong government flying service, accusing the government of lying over the circumstances surrounding the capture of 12 Hong Kong activists. Kyrgyz President Suronbay Jinbekov has declared a state of emergency in order the deployment of troops on the streets of the capital Bishkek. The president's office says that troop deployment would continue till October 21st. This after he had agreed to resign to end the chaos in the country. South Korea has culled 1,500 pigs after new cases of the African swine flu emerged. About 400,000 pigs were culled after an outbreak that began late last year hitting at least 14 farms. India has successfully test-fired its anti-radiation missile Rudram-1, developed by the Defence Research and Development Organisation. It can be launched from the Indian Air Force's Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets to take down enemy radars and surveillance systems. India has received the second set of Swiss bank account details of its nationals under the Automatic Exchange of Information Pact with Switzerland. India is among the 86 countries with which Switzerland's Federal Tax Administration has exchanged information on financial accounts. Lionel Messi marked his international return after a lengthy ban with a goal as Argentina beat Ecuador 1-0 in the first match of their 2022 World Cup qualifying campaign. Messi converted a 12th-minute penalty in an otherwise scrappy game in Buenos Aires. Messi's former Barcelona teammate Luis Suarez also scored as Uruguay edged Chile 2-1. Suarez's opener was cancelled out by Alexis Sanchez, but Maxi Gomez netted the winner in injury time. A second member of the Mercedes team has tested positive for COVID-19 ahead of the Eifel Grand Prix in Germany. 4 further team members have been isolated for coming in contact with the 2 positive cases, and 6 members flown in as replacements from England. Team principal Toto Wolff said the drivers Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas were forced to live like hermits as they looked to avoid catching the infection. Hamilton is aiming to equal Michael Schumacher's record of 91 race wins this weekend.
It's been 10 months. The world is still struggling. The Wuhan virus pandemic shows no sign of subsiding. We've learned to live with it. And thanks to our ability to adapt, we sometimes forget that fixing accountability for this catastrophe is very important. We tend to forget where it came from and who tried to cover up the outbreak. In the month of May, more than 100 countries agreed to investigate the origins of the Wuhan virus, how it jumped from an animal to humans, and brought the entire world to a standstill. Now, 3 months later, that investigation has not even begun. It's turning out to be a farce. China should have been at the center of global scrutiny, but China is picking the probe team. The accused is playing both the judge and the jury. How does that even work? China will decide who gets to be on the investigation team, and the World Health Organization is playing ball. It is in fact facilitating this. The executive director of the WHO's Health Emergencies Program, Mike Ryan, addressed a special meeting. This was a meeting of the WHO's executive board. It's a group of 34 individuals technically qualified in the field of health. Now, each member state assigns 1 member to sit on this board. The executive board implements the decisions and policies of the health body. And that's the main decision-making body of the WHO, the Health Assembly. Now, reports say that Mike Ryan informed this executive board that the WHO has picked a team to send to China. These are experts from around the world, and they will investigate the origins of the Wuhan virus. But here is the catch. Mike Ryan said that China will not only approve the makeup of this team, China will also decide the time of their visit to the country. In other words, Beijing will choose the timing, the makeup and the timing of this probe. It will also decide what kind of access they get. How is this alleged probe? Also, the WHO did not share when they sent their shortlist to China and when China is expected to respond. There is no clarity on anything, basically. So what should we make of this? This WHO investigation into China's lapses will happen on China's terms. And there are no clear timelines yet. We don't know when the investigation team will be ready. We don't know when it will go to China, which places it can visit, and when the report will see the light of day. The WHO has been cagey about the progress of this investigation. Our reports say on Monday, representatives from the US, the European Union and Australia made specific demands from the health body. They wanted the World Health Organization to send a team to China and share more details about their mission. Australia was the first to call for this probe, and its representative sent a clear message to the World Health Organization. Let me quote from that statement. "Transparency around this work is critical. We are keen to see further information on the membership of the international team and its program of work." What was the WHO's response? It said its hands are tied. The WHO does not have the authority to send the team until a member state gives it permission. This pandemic has been a disaster for the WHO's credibility. It fell woefully short in alerting the world. It appeared hand in glove with the exporter of the virus, and now it is evidently incapable of conducting a probe. China is dictating the investigation into its own culpability. And this should not come as a surprise. Soon after the probe was announced, the WHO sent an advance team to China. And guess what happened? They never got a chance to go to Wuhan. They were put in quarantine for 14 days and then packed off from Beijing. The WHO tried to mitigate the fiasco with a promise. They said they'll send a larger team to China in a few weeks. And this team, they said, will go to Wuhan and investigate.
When the international experts are put together, then of course, naturally, they will travel to Wuhan to start the study. Because it's the basics of inquiries like this to start the study from where the first report came.
Weeks have turned into months, but there has been no progress. The WHO is waiting for China's invitation. This probe is turning out to be a cruel joke on the world. And the delay in this investigation only benefits Beijing. It gets the opportunity to wash its sins. This happened today. China announced that it will participate in the WHO-backed global vaccine program. Now the question remains, can the Chinese vaccines be trusted? Our next report has more.
This is the world's biggest mystery: a Chinese vaccine. The world knows practically nothing about it. Global agencies have not approved it. But that hasn't stopped China from administering it. Thousands of people in China are being inoculated with unproven vaccines. The list includes members of the medical fraternity, government workers, and the military. Now China wants to take its unproven vaccines beyond the mainland. So it has now joined COVAX, a World Health Organization project that aims to distribute Wuhan virus vaccines to poorer nations.
Even though the research and development of several of China's vaccines is at international leading position with ample production capacity, but we still decided to join the implementation initiative. Our purpose is to advance the equitable distribution of vaccines through concrete action, ensure they can be offered to developing countries, and at the same time spur more capable countries will also join and support COVAX.
Why is China doing this? Beijing has been hesitant to commit to the global effort. Officials in China said they've already promised vaccines to a number of allies. Plus, they have not shared details about their vaccine program. There's no clarity on whether vaccine recipients are being tracked or monitored for any side effects. Beijing has poured billions into multiple vaccine projects. It owns rights to most of the potential vaccines in late-stage trials. What it lacks is credibility, and this effort is to earn some points. China wants a vaccine to fight criticism over the pandemic cover-up. In recent weeks, Chinese companies have tried to take their trials abroad, allegedly because they were unable to find enough volunteers at home. In China's Sheoyang city, the local officials issued orders to hunt for more volunteers. This notice was put up. It says people in schools, kindergartens, and nursing homes could qualify for emergency use of vaccines. China's vaccine project has hit roadblocks in Pakistan too. Doctors are urging people to volunteer for a shot of vaccines, but few want to be guinea pigs for an unproven vaccine.
So a lot of challenges whenever you have introduced something new, and vaccine is a part of it. And vaccine hesitancy, unfortunately, in Pakistan, a country like Pakistan, is also pretty much high.
Despite the concerns, China has turned to propaganda to showcase itself as a frontrunner in the vaccine race. One top official used the vaccine to showcase her loyalty to the party. Way back in March, Major General Chen Wei, who is China's top epidemiologist, took a shot of a vaccine, even before it was tested on animals. The shot was administered to Chen and 6 others. The Chinese state media proudly beamed these images. Even the PLA shared the photographs, only to delete them later from Weibo. China has 4 vaccines in the last phase of clinical trials. Taking an unproven vaccine is a shot in the dark. And in the case of China, few may want to take it. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Allow me to tell you once again what COVAX is. It is a project aimed at ensuring that poorer countries have access to vaccines. Vaccines for what? The Wuhan virus. Who exported it? China did. On what grounds is it then a part of COVAX? Should the UN not be holding China accountable for the pandemic? For 9 months of lockdowns, for nearly 36.6 million infections, for more than 1 million deaths in 188 countries, 400 million job losses, for pushing 16 countries into recession, who is responsible for all of this? Instead of punishing China, the United Nations is providing it a platform for philanthropy. Why? Has the world not had enough of defective masks, of faulty PPE kits? Do we want faulty vaccines too? Did the United Nations not notice how China went back on its promise to a country like Bangladesh? It is asking the country to cough up money for vaccine trials after promising free doses. How does the United Nations expect the very same China to help poor nations with a vaccine? Beijing does not function that way. It does not believe in welfare unless there is scope for expansion or a debt trap. China does not believe in help. It believes in hindrance, in silencing voices. I can give you many examples. I'll stick to some recent ones. Lawyer and citizen journalist Chen Chuishi reported on the Wuhan virus outbreak, then went missing. Wuhan businessman Fang Bin, not been seen since February. He was broadcasting photos of Wuhan during the pandemic. He was arrested in the month of February, has not been seen since. Then there's a law professor called Xu Zhangrun. He had criticized China's handling of the Wuhan virus. He published an essay on the 10th of February, hinting that China's censorship of information on the virus had hampered the fight against it. The essay was taken down, Xu was placed under house arrest and cut off from the internet. And you must be familiar with this face, Dr. Li Wenliang. He tried warning the world about the Wuhan virus. He was summoned to a police station, made to sign a letter that read, and I'm quoting, "We solemnly warn you, if you keep being stubborn with such impertinence and continue this illegal activity, you will be brought to justice. Is that understood? ? Li had to write, "Yes, I do," and he did. This is how the Chinese Communist Party treats all those who do not align with its policies. The head of Human Rights Watch, Kenneth Roth, recently called China, and I'm quoting again, an Orwellian high-tech surveillance state. Chinese President Xi Jinping is more interested in covering up the source of the Wuhan virus. He's not interested in helping the world overcome the pandemic. Why else would China slap punitive taxes on Australia? Australia is being penalized for demanding a probe on the Wuhan virus. And then there are organizations like ours, WION, targeted for doing our job. You already know how China has repeatedly hit out at WION through press releases, through its mouthpiece, the Global Times. You also know how China has blocked WION on the mainland. And now China is lecturing us on how to report. The Chinese mission issued a letter. It read, and I quote, "Would like to remind our media friends that there is only one China in the world." It went on to say, and I'm quoting again, Indian media can stick to Indian government's position on Taiwan question and not violate the One China principle. Now, this letter was issued on the 5th of August. Do you know what inspired it? WION was running a program on the Taiwanese National Day, and some of India's leading newspapers carried full-page ads on the program. Now, let me sum this up. China gets to hide an outbreak, export a virus, threaten international media, and get away with all of this. What is the world doing to hold China accountable? The United Nations should be leading that effort. It's part of the UN's mission. And let me quote from the UN website. The United Nations can take action on the issues confronting humanity in the 21st century. The Wuhan virus pandemic is this century's biggest crisis, biggest issue. What actions is the UN taking? Its health body, the WHO, has already lost its credibility. It is downplaying the crisis. It downplayed the crisis when it began. It became an apologist for China, and now the UN is allowing China to join COVAX instead of pulling it up. It is setting the wrong example. It should make China pay. If the United Nations does not do this, rogue countries like China will repeatedly attack world peace, and world bodies like the UN will further lose their credibility. Talking about peace, almost 2 weeks after violent clashes broke out in Nagorno-Karabakh, top diplomats from Azerbaijan and Armenia are meeting for talks in Moscow. A last-ditch effort to avoid a full-scale war. Azerbaijan described the talks as the last chance for Armenia to peacefully settle the dispute. Well, what are the chances of success in Moscow? Our next report explores.
Azerbaijan and Armenia have agreed to a face-to-face meeting. Foreign ministers from both countries are meeting in Moscow. President Putin's late-night appeal on Thursday seems to have worked. Armenia has agreed to resume talks on Nagorno-Karabakh. France is hopeful of a truce by tomorrow, albeit a fragile one.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs.
But the big question is whether Moscow can rein in Azerbaijan. With Turkey in its corner, Baku has vowed to continue the offensive until Armenian troops withdraw. Heavy clashes erupted late last month in Nagorno-Karabakh. Both Azerbaijan and Armenia blame each other for the violence. The global community's calls for a ceasefire have been ineffective so far. The Minsk group, comprising the US, Russia and France, launched a mediation effort in Geneva. Closed-door talks which Armenia refused to attend until fighting subsided. The talks ended in a stalemate. But in Moscow, there is hope of a ceasefire. This is the first direct engagement between the two sides since hostilities began. President Putin, in his talks with both sides, focused on humanitarian concerns like the exchange of bodies and prisoners of war. Russia's regional influence could be crucial in clinching a ceasefire. On the ground, however, very little has changed. Casualties continue to mount. 376 soldiers killed, 70,000 residents displaced, and 90% of all women and children forced out of their homes. Even civilian buildings have been targeted. Azerbaijan says its city of Ganja was shelled by Armenian forces. Ethnic Armenians claim Azeri forces are pummeling the regional capital. Both sides continue to trade blame for the violence. The Moscow talks are a last-ditch effort, with Turkey intent on escalating the conflict and Russia bound by a military agreement to back Armenia. The conflict in the Caucasus has all the makings of a full-blown war. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Do you Google News, or do you consume news based on your Google notifications? Do you know that the articles you read on Google are not written by Google? They are written by news companies. Google is aggregating the news for free, not paying a penny to the ones writing it. And then Google is earning money off their hard work. How does that work? Google displays ads along with news search results. And the money from these ads goes to Google. It is making millions. But Google is not sharing the ad revenue with news companies. Is this fair? And there's only one answer to this question, and the answer is no. What Google is doing is unethical. There's been a long-running dispute over it. Now, a French court has asked Google to talk to publishers about paying for their content. The court has added pressure on the tech giant to pay for news. It is a big victory for French media houses. Something similar happened in Australia too. And while we're talking about it, about paying for news, there's something else I want to talk to you about. And this is especially for those of you joining us from India. Would you contest me if I said that the credibility of the Indian media has hit an all-time low? First, news channels violated people's personal space, ditched morals and ethics in the name of reporting, and now we have a TRP racket. TRP stands for television rating points, and the charge against a channel is that of manipulating the TRP, of selling wrong TRP. Why would a news channel do that? Because TRPs bring ads, and channels depend on advertisement for revenue. Advertisers refer to TRP before placing their ads. TRP gives them an idea of how many people watch a particular channel, which socio-economic background they're from, how much time do they spend on a channel. This is essentially consumer profiling. Advertisers either have a target audience in mind, or they want to reach out to the maximum viewers. So they prefer advertising on a channel that has a particular type of reach or claims to have the maximum TRP. So in the hunger for ads or for money, TRPs are now being fudged. This is a scam. There are no two ways about it. Advertisers are being cheated, as are you, the viewers. And you can change all of this. What Google is doing online and what some channels are doing on air. The solution is to pay for news. A couple of days ago, I told you how there is no such thing as a free lunch, not my original line, but I like it. This was with respect to foreign funding of NGOs. Today, I want you to think about something else. There is nothing called a free product. And if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. Google is accessing your personal information, your reading habits, your choice of news, and who you share it with. And all of this is in exchange for so-called free news. Well, you're paying with your personal information. Why not pay in currency instead? And pay directly to the ones writing the news. Paying for news comes with another very big advantage. It means that the news you access is credible. How is that? It means the website or channel is not tweaking information to lure advertisers. It means that the news is unbiased. When you pay, you get credible news. They say you get what you pay for. You also save media houses from being cheated by tech giants. You also nip TRP rackets in the bud. How? Because then you become a part of the revenue model. Then the media's loyalty is to you, not to the advertiser, not to a ratings agency, only the viewer. Think about it. After 1,381 days in captivity, a French aid worker has returned home. She is 75 years old. Her release was part of a hostage settlement negotiated by the government of Mali. A prominent opposition leader and 2 Italian nationals were also released as part of the same deal. What does this hostage release mean for conflict-ridden Central Africa? And why did jihadist groups agree to the release in the first place? Our next report explains.
The Bamako airport in Mali was the stage for an emotional reunion. 4 years after she was captured by jihadist fighters, French aid worker Sophie Petronin is finally free. Frail and visibly drained, Petronin stepped out of the aeroplane, collapsing into the arms of her son. French President Emmanuel Macron voiced immense relief at the release. He personally received Petronin upon her return to France. 4 years ago, Sophie Petronin's life took a tragic turn. She was in the city of Gao in northern Mali, running a charity for malnourished children. Northern Mali is a restive region controlled by jihadists linked to Al-Qaeda. They regularly kidnap foreign citizens, often demanding ransom for their release. On that fateful day, Sophie Petronin was their target. The years in captivity have not been kind to her, but Petronin's spirit remains unbroken.
Luckily, my greatest joy today is to know that my assistant was able to continue the work without me. So for Mali, I will pray and implore the blessing and mercy of Allah. Because I am a Muslim. You say Sophie, but it is Maryam that you have in front of you.
Petronin says she will return to Mali, to Gao, from where she was captured.
I still have to go and have a look and say hello. Because I have made this commitment. If you make a commitment, follow through with it. Otherwise, you will have lost your reason for being on this earth.
Sophie Petronin wasn't the only captive who was released on Thursday. This is Soumaïla Cissé, a prominent Mali politician. He was kidnapped by gunmen in March earlier this year. Cissé was welcomed back by his family at the airport. He met Mali's transitional president and thanked the new leadership for securing his release. Malian authorities also announced the release of 2 Italian citizens. It is unclear whether the duo arrived on board the same aircraft. The actual circumstances of this hostage release remain ambiguous. It comes merely days after Malian authorities released more than 100 jihadist fighters. They were sent by plane to northern Mali, a hotbed of extremism. Chances are this was more of a prisoner swap than a hostage release. So what does this exchange mean for Central Africa? President Macron has made it clear that the fight against terrorism in Sahel will continue. The 5,000-odd French troops in the region are not going anywhere. The systematic targeting of French nationals is only strengthening the resolve of the leadership and the troops. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Donald Trump could return to the campaign trail as soon as Saturday. Doctors say the president has completed his coronavirus treatment. He's stable. He's responding well to medicine. But the question is this: can he make it to the second presidential debate? The commission in charge of the debate says the president does not have to. They say the debate can be staged virtually to protect the health of everyone involved. But Donald Trump does not want anything to do with the virtual debate. He has threatened to pull out if the event goes virtual.
No, I'm not going to waste my time on a virtual debate. That's not what debating's all about. You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous. And then they cut you off.
It's ridiculous, he says. So that's the president's worry, that his microphone will be cut off in a virtual debate. What about Joe Biden? What does the Democratic nominee make of Trump's refusal to participate? Listen to this.
We don't know what the president's going to do. He changes his mind every second. So for me to comment on that now would be irresponsible. I think that if I'm going to follow the commission recommendation, if he goes off and he's going to have a rally, I don't know what I'll do.
He doesn't know what he'll do. The Trump campaign has proposed another option: to delay the event, to postpone the second debate from October 15 to 22nd, which naturally meant delaying the third debate as well. The Biden campaign had agreed to meet Trump halfway to stage the second debate on the 22nd. But that was before Trump's latest health bulletin. With doctors now clearing the president for public events, Trump wants to revert to the old schedule. Joe Biden is unlikely to agree. There are still concerns over whether the president is contagious. Ultimately, the two campaigns and the debate commission will have to take a call. But if Donald Trump pushes the Biden campaign too far, he also risks a situation where there are no further debates. that does not bode well for Trump, who is currently trailing in the polls. Now, all of this confusion was, of course, brought about by the president contracting the Wuhan virus. So how is he doing now? The doctors say excellent. Trump could be back on the campaign trail this weekend. He's already talking about holding a rally in Florida this Saturday.
And I'll tell you, I took this Regeneron. It's phenomenal. And I think I'm going to try doing a rally on Saturday night if we have enough time to put it together. But we want to do a rally in Florida, probably in Florida on Saturday night. Might come back and do one in Pennsylvania in the following night. And it's incredible what's going on. I feel so good.
Democrats are not convinced by Donald Trump's claims. They think the president is putting political consideration above public health. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has gone a step further. She thinks the president could be in an altered state of mind. Pelosi was talking about Trump's sudden U-turns on the fiscal stimulus bill. On the campaign front, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in Arizona, a state Donald Trump won in 2016 by a margin of more than 3%. This time around, polls are predicting a tough battle there. Joe Biden attacked Trump on his response to the pandemic, saying the president had thrown in the towel.
How many more have to go under? How many more dreams have to be extinguished because this president threw in the towel? Instead of focusing on your needs, he's still trying to take away your health care. I mean, think about that. I mean, just think about it. I mean, I'm not, but if I were a playwright, and writing a play, there isn't a single solitary outfit in Broadway that would take it because it sounds like ridiculous fiction.
Racial tensions and white supremacy are likely to be key election issues. On Thursday, we got another taste of this. The FBI foiled a plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the Democratic governor of Michigan. 13 men belonging to homegrown extremist groups have been charged. The governor has pinned the blame on Donald Trump. She says the president's stand-by remark during the debate served as a rallying call to extremist groups. Trump has responded on Twitter, and this is what he wrote, I'm quoting, "I do not tolerate any extreme violence. Defending all Americans, even those opposed to me, is what I will always do as your president." You can expect high political drama in the U.S. this weekend. From Trump's proposed rally to the future of the presidential debates, there's a lot that could unfold over the next 48 hours. Stay home, stay safe, a motto we've been asked to follow during the pandemic. But what if we told you that being home still cannot ensure safety? Yesterday we told you about domestic violence. Today what happens online? Internet use is on the rise, and so is romance fraud. Just like phishing, online shopping and lottery frauds, romance fraud is the latest scam surpassing other cyber crimes. Here's how.
Think again before you swipe right. Romance scammers are on the prowl. And dating profiles are the new clickbait. Blame social media, online dating is all show, no substance. Perhaps that explains why people are falling for Flash. They are wooed by fancy dating profiles. Not surprising that the UK Centre for Cybercrime has reported monetary losses. Their total worth is approximately $86 million. That's a loss of nearly $13,000 per victim. Moreover, 600 romance frauds were reported every month from June till August. There has been a 26% rise in romance fraud cases in the past 1 year. Reason? The coronavirus pandemic. Confined to isolation, people turned to online dating, only to end up handing over their trust and money, impacting victims both financially and emotionally. So when does romance fraud occur? Criminals are experts at impersonating identities. They spend hours researching their targets. And just when you believe that you've met the perfect partner online, they choreograph a loving relationship, a fake barter for the victim's personal information and wealth. And where do you find the fraudster? Anywhere across the world, just a click away. Which is why the UK's Cybercrime Centre has launched a campaign. They want to raise awareness of romance fraud and provide protection. Here's how you can spot a romance scammer. If they request money or ask you to receive some into your account, ask too many personal questions yet don't reveal themselves, have perfect profile images which could be stolen, find excuses to not meet in person, and declare their love fairly early. The UK's Centre for Cybercrime has urged the public to fall for the person, not profile. Because all that glitters is not gold. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The World Food Programme has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize 2020. The United Nations Food Assistance Branch has been honoured for feeding millions of people. This is what the Norwegian Nobel Committee said while announcing the award.
The need for international solidarity and multilateral cooperation is more conspicuous than ever. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 to the World Food Programme for its efforts to combat hunger, for its contribution to bettering conditions for peace in conflict-affected areas, and for acting as a driving force in efforts to prevent the use of hunger as a weapon of war and conflict.
The World Food Programme delivers food and assistance to conflict and disaster-torn areas. It also focuses on nutrition, especially for mothers and children. The World Food Programme is funded by voluntary donations. It has more than 17,000 staff worldwide. And at a time when more and more people are sleeping hungry, courtesy the Wuhan virus, the Nobel Peace Prize to the World Food Programme seems just. This also goes down in history as one of the less controversial Nobel Peace Prizes. You see, the concept of peace is relative, and this relativity has been exploited by the Nobel Peace Committee, or the Nobel Committee. They have awarded less deserving people, raised multiple eyebrows, somewhere eroded the charm of the award. Critics say the Nobel Peace Prize has become a political tool, one that is used by the West to promote its narrative. The prize is sometimes given to those with violent pasts. Sometimes it is presented to those who cannot even justify the award. Former US President Barack Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009, just 9 months after taking office. The nomination of the awards had closed 12 days after he assumed office. What was Obama honored for? Some of his political supporters have also asked the same question. The Dalai Lama. Year 1989, he won the award for being a Tibetan exile. The Nobel Peace Prize website reads, and I quote, "The award of the Peace Prize gave the Dalai Lama the opportunity to present a plan for the restoration of peace and human rights in Tibet. In the plan, he recommended that the country be turned into an ecologically stable and demilitarized zone that might serve as a buffer between major Asian powers." It's been 31 years. There's still no peace in Tibet. In 1991, Aung San Suu Kyi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for, quote-unquote, her non-violent struggle for democracy and human rights. She was a political prisoner then. Today, she is the de facto leader of Myanmar. And under her, at least 24,000 Rohingya Muslims have been killed in the country's Rakhine state. 700,000 others have had to flee their country. And she's become an advocate for the army, which has been accused of this genocide. The biggest irony of the Nobel Peace Prize is that one of the world's strongest symbols of peace was never honored. I'm talking about Mahatma Gandhi. He was nominated for the Peace Prize multiple times in 1937, 38, 1939, 1947, and shortly before he was assassinated in But the year he died, the Norwegian Nobel Committee decided to announce no award. It said, and I quote, "There were no suitable living candidates." The Nobel Committee now calls Gandhi the missing laureate. And North Korea, it's gearing up for a celebration. People around the world are thinking twice before stepping out of their homes. But this weekend, North Korea will mark the 75th anniversary of its ruling party. Why is one of the world's poorest countries throwing a grand party? Is this a distraction? Or is this part of a tradition? This, by the way, is also a country where the leader once kidnapped foreign filmmakers. Watch this report.
For years now, the Kims of North Korea have used propaganda to build a cult of personality around them. Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, was obsessed with films and the power they had to sway minds. According to various claims, he collected 30,000 films during his lifetime. Even when watching Hollywood movies was illegal in North Korea. Kim Jong-un too understands the power of the visual medium. And the North Korean leader knows how to use it to his advantage. This weekend he is throwing a grand party. The occasion is special. It is the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party of Korea, the party that rules North Korea. The celebrations have already begun. On Thursday, Pyongyang hosted a concert. The attendees, presumably afraid of the Wuhan virus, wore masks as they watched the singers belt out patriotic songs. The concert will be followed up with a mega military parade that could feature North Korean ballistic missiles. It's an opportunity for Kim Jong-un to project power, even at a time when he faces a series of challenges. North Korea still remains a global pariah. The pandemic has only exacerbated Kim Jong-un's troubles. North Korea still remains one of the world's poorest countries. The pandemic stifled the North's trade activities with China. Reports say the recent typhoons have left the agricultural sector devastated. But Kim Jong-un continues to chase nuclear power. North Korea hasn't reported any cases of the Wuhan virus. Several reports claim that Kim has issued shoot-to-kill orders to prevent infections. Despite the crisis, the North Korean leader wants to project strength. So Pyongyang will put up a show on Saturday, where Kim Jong-un might offer a glimpse into North Korea's advanced weapons for the world to see. The military march is expected to feature the hallmark of North Korean propaganda, the image of a strong Kim Jong-un. He has mastered his father's propaganda playbook. Before he became North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-il served as the chief of North Korea's propaganda agitation department. In the late 1970s, he abducted South Korean actress Choi Eun-hee and her director husband Shin Jeong-gayun. They were brought to North Korea and forced to make 4 films to spread Kim Jong-il's message to the world. The senior Kim was inspired by the golden age of South Korean cinema. So he kidnapped South Korea's best filmmakers for his propaganda drive. The duo managed to escape in 1986. Kim Jong-un has kept his father's propaganda department intact, but he has taken a different route to spread his message. He has leveraged TV broadcasts with overexcited anchors to beam messages about North Korea's nuclear program. The same medium is expected to be used for the 75th anniversary celebrations. If only propaganda could solve problems, the Koreans would have none. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. We're leaving you with Gravitas Images. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday.